It's Saturday morning, just after 9, and that means it's time for the 2018 edition of the Bendigo Bank Footy Show. In a tradition that dates back 30 years, created by the legend, the doyen and the voice of local footy, Andrew Topunt Kelly, it's time to get off the bench, pull up the socks and pay attention. Because here's your host, Neil Custerson.
Good morning everyone and welcome to the RPP Footy Show. Once again we're proudly brought to you by the Bendigo Bank. On this morning's show our special guest will be Aaron Pacey, the coach of the Tyab Football Netball Club after their good win last week over Devon Meadows.
What a great win, Kev.
It was a great win, yeah. It was predicted on this show though.
Yes.
Tips has all got it right.
Yes, did indeed. We'll also be introducing our netball correspondent, the RPP netball correspondent, Talia Hartskill will be joining us a little bit later on in the program. And we'll also be talking with Greg Hood, who's the manager of the Balnarring Bendigo Bank branch, who are celebrating 10 years today. And they'll also have a big announcement to make at their family day today, where they'll be announcing their $1 millionth that they'll be handing out back to the local community. So we'll have the branch manager, Greg Hood, will be on our program a little shortly. And it's time to introduce Simon McAvoy with Simon Scoots. But before we do,
yes,
good morning.
God, Neil, you got the giggles today.
He's having a good morning.
I've gone off the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Kevin Miles. How are you?
Morning, Neil. How are you, mate?
We will get there eventually, mate.
You've been up watching the soccer all night?
Yeah, absolutely, that's the problem, mate. And Tony Blackford,
Yeah,
good
it's
morning.
Good to be here, mate. Gee, we're completely different day today. The last couple of weeks have been really still and great days for football. Today's one of those typical winter's day, strong winds, and a bit of rain.
Okay. Sounds fine, mate. And also Simon McAvoy with Simon Scoops. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Neil and Tony and Kev. Yeah, good to be here. A bit of a rough day today, but there's a bit of news as usual. And, of course, last week the streak ended. Dramana's first loss of the season last week after an 11-game winning streak, and that took in the last 3 games of last season. People seem to forget, but they're up to 11 wins. It all came to an end last Sunday afternoon, and when Red Hill got over the top of them. Now, Dramana coach Ricky Johnson described it as a timely wake-up call. He says they were beaten. They learnt a lot of lessons from that loss last week. He says they're a young group and they were quite possibly getting a bit ahead of themselves. And their second half reflected that. They reckon he believes they didn't work hard enough, and Red Hill just got over the top of them and they deserved the win.
Good win.
Wonderful win.
Big win, like up
Wonderful
there.
win. Yeah, and it's very hard to beat Red Hill up at Red Hill. Dramana obviously got off to a wonderful start, Simon, which is what happened, and Red Hill just slowly pegged them back. And to kick 7 goals, they kicked 7 goals up until 3-quarter time, and then they kicked 7 goals in the last quarter.
Massive effort.
Yeah, so look, Ricky Johnson, he says it's really important that Dramana bounce back today. Now, they've got Crib Point, a game they should win. But he says Dramana's going to be close to full strength today. They're very determined to bounce back strongly. Ben Holmes, of course, made a really impressive return from a shoulder injury last week. He kicked 6. Injury-wise, Ricky Johnson says they're only missing a couple of players. He's really happy. Apart from that, they've pretty much got a full deck of players to choose from. So that's great news for Dramana. He also hinted, Ricky Johnson hinted that over the next 4 or 5 weeks, they're going to manage some of their older players. And so with the likes of Ben Holmes, Matt Price and Johnson himself, they're probably going to have a bit of a freshen up at some stage. He says it'll only help the club when they come to finals. He said playing 18 games for those sort of guys is unrealistic, and it's only going to help the side as they come to finals.
Well, Holmes has had a couple off, and I noticed that Ricky Johnson against Langwarrin the week before, he limped off before 3-quarter time. So he might have played a little bit underdone last week. So a game like Crib Point would be a good one for him to have a rest.
Yeah, they've got Crib Point today, then they've got Tyab next week, Somerville and Devon Meadows. So there's probably an opportunity over the next few weeks to rest a few guys.
So they'll finish off 2 more games and everyone's played each other once. So they should finish it off with a 10-1 result after 11 games.
You'd think so. The Tigers are travelling pretty well, apart from that little hiccup last Sunday. But what about Langwarrin? Today, it's a critical stage for Langwarrin today. They meet Tyab. After beating Chelsea a few weeks ago, Langwarrin really did loom as a finals prospect, but they've lost their last 2 games. Today, though, it's getting to a bit of a desperate stage for Langwarrin. I was speaking to their co-coach, Blake McCormack, during the week, and he did his calf a couple of weeks ago, but he's going to roll the dice today and play. He just feels that he'd rather have a crack and do his calf again instead of just looking on and watching them lose another game, because he reckons that they're at a crucial stage. They have to win. That's what it's come down to for Langwarrin. Yeah,
It's pretty risky though, isn't it? Like, it's going to make that much difference against Tyab.
Well, Tyab are one of those sides. I think Tyab and Aaron will be in here soon.
Yeah, I mean, we can ask the question.
They've really, and they did it to you and they did it to Rye, they've really pushed a lot of sides this year. So they could be starting to get a few of their players back, because they got a few injuries too, Kevin. You know how it is. Like, no side can cop too many injuries.
No, that's why I sort of figured it's such a big risk for Blake to take.
It is a risk, indeed, but it's sort of he probably needs to play, because they lost defender Luke Churcher last week with a hamstring before half-time. So with McCormack's going to come back in, sort of a straight swap for Churcher, defender for a defender. But the big question today is, will Jet Murphy play? The Langwarrin spearhead, who's kicked 34 goals this season, he strained his hamstring last week. He's been doing all he can to get up for this week, but they really do need him playing. So
he's a physiotherapist, so he would have been getting treatment every day.
Absolutely, yes. So will he play? That's the big question today. But Blake said during the week, he said, look, he's put it on the players today. He said, look, all the work they've done since October, it's a huge game today. He said if they lose today, it's basically wrecked the whole season. They're going to lose supporter base, and it'll be hard to climb up the ladder again. So it's a massive day.
And Simon, with that win of Red Hill last week, and we'll go into it a bit more, it's really opened up the gap to a 10-point. It's 16 to...
It's 6 at the moment.
6-point gap.
Yeah, after
and
today.
Somerville play Red Hill today.
The Scotty Beale factor, mate. So
Well, that's a 10. We talk about 8 points, but
That's
this
a
is a 10-point game.
So this is, exactly. So
In Division 1, I was speaking to Mount Eliza coach Troy Shannon during the week, and he described it as very peculiar. He was referring to the Redlegs' win last week over the Frankston Bombers, when only 7 goals were scored for the entire game in those perfect conditions. He says he can't remember a game when, because the fact was Mount Eliza didn't score a goal after half-time, but still won.
They kicked 4 goals up until half-time, and that's all they kicked for the game, Simon.
Troy can't. He can never remember him being involved in a game where his team has not scored a goal after half-time, yet they've won the game. Very unusual, but he'll take the 4 points. There's no doubt about that.
yeah, that was a crucial game.
And
Yeah, it was a
Frankston
crucial game.
they didn't kick a goal in the first half, Simon.
Yep.
They kicked 8 points.
Ridiculous. And the conditions were perfect, so we can't quite work it out. But still on Mount Eliza, now their star recruit, Dylan Barry, who we've spoken a little bit about over the last couple of weeks, he has returned to Alice Springs. He's been fantastic for Mount Eliza. He's played 2 games for them. He's been red hot. He's gone back home, but it's not the end of the story. It's a work in progress, Shannon said. He's gone back home. That was the part of the deal, but he might come back. He's got a dream of playing in the VFL with hopes of making it to the big leagues, and Mount Eliza want to help him in that regard. So they've got their fingers crossed. He's going back to talk to his family to make some pretty big decisions about what he's going to do.
So he's played in the wins against YC and Frankston Bombers.
Correct, and he's been in their best players both times too. So yeah, he's a really good player. Be interesting to see what happens there. Yeah, Bomb Beach. They've landed a very good recruit during the week, a well-credentialed recruit. He trained on Tuesday night, a big ruckman. His name is Matt Scubas. Now, he's not a young man. He's about 38, but he's played over 100 State League games in Queensland. And he was also a trainer for the Brisbane Lions senior side. So he's got some pretty good past. He's also still involved in the AFL system. He's working for the Gold Coast Suns as a recruiting officer. He lives in Victoria now. He's just recently moved down. But with Bomb Beach losing their ruckman 2 weeks ago, Dylan Jones, it could be a timely pickup.
Replacement, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to fill that void until they can get Jones back on the track.
Absolutely. So he's played for Zilmere Eagles, Western Magpies and Mount Gravatt. And he's quite a good player, so we'll see how he goes. But what about at Bomb Beach? Another injury, would you believe? They've had a lot of injuries. And another key injury too. Gary Carpenter injured his groin last week, and he'll miss today's game against EDS. It's the last thing we needed, Coach Steve Hughes said.
Yeah, well, it's funny this year how the injuries are really playing havoc with
and
the
you can see what
competition.
happens. You can see what happens in the AFL too. Like Adelaide haven't been able to get their best side on the park, and they're just not getting the results that they wanted.
Absolutely. Now, that game today between Bomb Beach and Edithvale Aspendale, it could be a bit of a hot reception for Bomb Beach. Bonnie coach Steve Hughes, there's a bit of history. Of course, back in round one, Edithvale beat Bomb Beach, but subsequently Edithvale lost the points, if you remember, for breaching the player points cap. Now, it's common knowledge that Bomb Beach actually pointed that out to the league.
Yeah, but they're entitled.
They're entitled to. They did it professionally. But, over the fence there might be a few calls, and Hughes is sort of half expecting a little bit of a hot reception today. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Simon, did Edithvale take that to appeals?
I don't. They may have, Tone. I'm not certain. But they lost their points.
An excellent question.
Yeah. But
is that at Edithvale?
Yes. Yep. But Kooringal, they had a handy addition to their side last week. Brendan Dunn. The former Hastings Premiership coach. He played his first game for the season, and what a good pickup. He will be. Of course, he's a Kooringal man. But the mail is he's very fit. He's only missed 4 training sessions the entire season, so he's up and ready. Luke Van Ray played in the reserves the last 2 weeks.
Did Dunny play in the reserves?
No, he played straight in the ones.
Straight in the ones?
Yep, straight in the ones. So, but on Luke Van Ray, he's come back from a knee reconstructions. He's playing in the reserves. Kooringal coach Brett Dunn says it'll be up to Van Ray to make the call when he wants to come up to the seniors, which is interesting, isn't it? But, he just wants to make sure he's fit enough. He's been very impressive so far. So there's some real experience going to be coming back into the Kooringal side.
And how many
to
games
worry for the rest of the competition.
Sorry, mate.
How many games is
he's on 290 something?
No, look, he's on 283.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, senior games. We thought it was a bit closer, but it's not quite.
So it will happen next year.
Yeah, next season.
Yeah. And still on Kooringal, Buddha Hurst will miss today's game. He did his quad last week. But they've got another player coming back today in the reserves, Steve Charalambas, who really will add a lot of pace. He's one guy they want to get into there first because he's got pace. And I think even Brett Dunn, the coach of Kooringal, he admits that the mail is that they're a bit slow, a bit top-heavy.
Yeah,
he admits
leg
that.
speed would be one deficiency that they lack.
That's right. So he's looking forward to having Chara up and about.
He hasn't played for a long time.
No.
He was last played at Hastings, and that would have been 2 years ago.
Maybe
3
3
years ago.
Yeah. But on today, Kooringal travel to Chelsea. Now, that's going to be a massive game, isn't it? Really good contest. Interesting because Kooringal coach Brett Dunn, he'll be coaching against his former club. So
he'd know their players better than anyone.
Yeah.
And probably one thing that a lot of the Nepean sides have lacked is the knowledge of Chelsea, whereas Dunny would have that knowledge.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be interesting. What will he get? A few raspberries over the fence as well?
Oh, look, Brett,
From the
he's
crowd?
really happy the way Chelsea are going, to be honest. He says he's wrapped for them. They're having a great season. It's a second versus third contest today. 2 really good teams. Interestingly, the last time Kooringal played finals was 2012 under Brendan Dunn, and the last time Chelsea played finals was 2011 under Jason Chappell. So it's a long time for both clubs.
Yeah, and they're both having good seasons.
Yeah, both have played each other over the last few years as well because they've both been playing in Peninsula.
Yeah, true.
Yep. Red Hill coach Jamie Molo says that win last week it's given them a real sense of belief. He reckons they took a big stride forward last weekend. They had a couple of 17-year-olds running around, Noah Turner and Dan Frampton, and they were both key figures in the win.
Is that Peter's boy?
I'm not sure, Kev. Thanks for that curly question, but yeah, possibly.
Dan Frampton's he's a really good kid.
Yep.
And
Good guitarist.
And he's been playing a lot of Stingrays football.
Yep.
So I think maybe he was available last week.
He'll probably go back to the Stingrays today, I think.
Yeah.
But look, Jamie, he said that they've just got a real sense of belief now. He's using strong words like it'll catapult them into the rest of the season. You know, they're travelling really well.
I think it will too, because we talked to Jamie last week and we talked about how he's had a lot of close losses, and that will turn.
Yep.
But you can't keep giving sides starts and trying to overrun them all the time, because they gave Rye a start like that and they fell short. So they just need to keep on believing in themselves and starting off the games really well, because they're finishing well.
It's interesting. Is it a bit of a danger game for Red Hill this weekend? Today, Somerville could be. You know,
well, especially in these conditions.
Yeah.
Mindset.
Yep.
And they're a day. Oh no, they both played on Sunday last week. So.
Yeah.
But like you said before, something need to win if they want to stay in touch in the top five. This is a must for them.
My understanding is that Everett won't play again this year. He's done his Achilles.
Yep.
How bad that is, but at this stage he certainly won't play the next month.
That's massive news, isn't it?
That's a big out for them, mate.
Yeah, they're Tony Scoops, not Simon Scoops.
Well, aren't they? Scooping me. But just to finish,
said.
Just to finish, we spoke about Cranbourne last week, possibly coming into the MPNFL next season. Well, what about Cranbourne full forward Mark Holt? He's 13 goals away from 1,000 goals.
Isn't that great?
For Cranbourne, yeah.
That's a lot of goals.
So we're all watching how Mark Holt goes over the next few weeks, but the word is that it might be stage managed. So he brings up the 1,000th goal
at Cranbourne
in 4 weeks' time, when it's their past players' day, sponsors' day. It'll just work in well. So that might be the go.
What's he's only allowed to kick 3 a week?
They've got a tough run. Apparently they've got, possibly Kev, they've got Beaconsfield, Narry Warren and Berwick over the next 3 weeks. So they're the best three teams in it.
Those four are the best four sides.
Yeah.
And, last week, I know he kicked 10, but the competition, there's 8 sides in the competition, and there's 4 really good sides and 4 average sides.
Yep. The great full forwards, we've sort of missed them in recent years,
Well, even the AFL talks about it.
Yeah. George Gorozides, remember him? He was a freak, but Mark Holt, he's a great full forward. He's a terrific player. So good luck to him.
Yeah, no, that's a terrific achievement when it obviously does unfold. I think recently there was a guy from Catani just reached his 1,000th goal as well.
There's some massive ones in real country footy.
Yeah, I stand to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure I saw something in the papers where there's a guy at Catani.
Yeah, he's about 38 and about 38 stone.
Well,
a big massive guy stands in the goal square.
1,000 goals is a lot of goals.
I think he's a dairy farmer, he said. I read it.
Oh, you did see this?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so he's huge. He's about 6'6" and he's about 38 stone. He's a massive man.
Oh, jeez.
And he's 38 years old. And he's just milks the cows and goes and plays local footy.
Yeah,
that's a terrific story too. Well,
that's great, Simon.
Simon, once again, Simon Scoops, you've done well. And on that note, we'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll speak to Greg Hood, the Balnarring Bendigo Bank branch manager, as they celebrate 10 years this afternoon. You're listening to the RPP Footy Show.
Here at Bendigo Community Bank branches,
we support local footy.
Local teams and all our community champions.
Bendigo Bank and RPP FM, bringing local footy to the community.
Watch our live telecast on RPP FM. It's live and it's local.
Welcome back, everybody, to the RPP Footy Show, once again brought to you by the Bendigo Bank. Well, our next guest is a former Socceroo captain, and he's joined us to preview the World Cup, which began in Russia overnight. So, Paul Wade, welcome to the Footy Show. How are you, mate?
Oh, mate, I am as good as gold. Absolutely. Looking forward to not only the starter, but, everything else in between.
Well, what can you say about the Aussies taking on the World Cup favourite tonight, mate? The Socceroos take on France.
Oh, I tell you what, if this game was played on paper, we would get absolutely hammered. When you think of the You think of the players that are on standby for the French. They're worth $500 million on the transfer market. The guys who are actually selected in the 23, they're worth $1.6 billion on the transfer market. Have a guess how much we're costing. If you want to buy the lot of us, the 23 of us, $75 million.
So minnows at best, Paul. Minnows.
Yeah, look, you know what? I don't know what happens, boys, at that sport. It's something that white line, something happens and you think to yourself, whoa, there is not $1.6 billion difference between these two teams.
Paul, France haven't exactly been on the same page with each other a few times in big competitions. I remember going back even one or two World Cups, there was dissension in the ranks. There was walkouts on the coach. I think they're a little bit flaky at times, the French.
Oh, I tell you what, Moody, they can play football, as I say, when they cross that line, but wow, the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, it's not just a couple of World Cups ago, in the European Championships it happens. I don't know, is it arrogance? I'm not quite sure. They've been saying in the build-up to this Aussie game all the right things about, we're focused on the Australian team. They're a great team. In fact, their coach came out and said they're a far better team today than they were under Ange Postecoglou. Now I'm thinking, you miserable so-and-so, because he's a mate of mine. How dare you have a go at a coach that can't defend himself? Do you know what I mean? So the arrogance we're talking about.
I hear you, mate. I hear you.
And will we see Tim Cahill start tonight?
No, I think he's there as an impact player. Give him 5-10 minutes. Mind you, if I say anything about predictions, I get it wrong. So you can imagine that Tim Cahill's going to play all the 90 plus extra time if there is any. No, honestly, I think he's there seriously for the build-up, to keep the players' feet on the ground, to control their nerves. And in that last 5 or 10 minutes, I tell you, just put him on the penalty spot, get everybody else to whack the ball into that area, and he'll win it, he'll score. He's a genius.
Well said, mate. What about the rest of the Socceroos squad? What are your thoughts on, is it Miles Jedinak? He's known as the Rock. So do you think he'll lead from the front as always?
Yeah, that's a big one, Neil. You know, there's a couple of points where you think to yourself, this could drastically change, and they're all in the midfield. Everyone's talking about Rogic, who plays for Celtic at a fair level, obviously, and he just cannot link in the middle of the park. For the last couple of games, it's all gone wrong. Now, whether Van Marwijk looks at that and goes, I want Jedinak in there because it's going wrong or not, I'm not sure. Is Jedinak going to play at all? I mean, I have the dubious honour, boys, of being the first captain ever dropped from the national team in 2 World Cup qualifiers against Canada. So I know how he's feeling if he doesn't play. The only advice I could give him is you've got to remain the captain that you were. You can't allow the emotion to take over, because everybody else is playing and they don't need to feed off any negativity. So, look, he's a big boy. He's a successful boy. He's got us through to with the Asian Cup. He won it, 3 goals he scored. I take my hat off to him. If he can stay positive, he will go on. He will make an impact. But the biggest problem is in the middle of the park. What are we going to do?
What's your prediction for the score tonight, and what's your prediction in terms of Australia's chances of getting out of the group, Paul?
Yeah, loaded question. You know what? I remember Faris Puskás said, if I told you what the score was going to be, you wouldn't turn up.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that. No, honestly, if we get a 0-0 draw, a 1-1 draw, any kind of draw, that would be a massive step forward to making the knockout stage. I'm not quite sure it's going to be that easy against Peru or Denmark, but I tell you what, if everyone's saying that it's going to be a Brazil-France final, it's quite scary, isn't it? Everyone else has got great teams, but we've got one of the better teams to play against just to get out of the group.
What about your thoughts on the teams that didn't qualify, as in, just for example, Italy and America? What will the dynamics there in their absence make for Russia 2018, Paul?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the beauty of the World Cup, isn't it? I don't think either team was arrogant. I just think everybody wants to beat Italy, and everybody wants to beat Holland, and everybody wants to beat Chile. 3 of the big boys who you would expect to be there. No, it's in qualifying you've got to play 10, well, we had to play 22, but most of them play 10, 15 games. There are so many things that go right, but a couple that go wrong, and bingo, you're out of there. It's just the beauty of playing 32 out of 217 or countries.
It's a great achievement, isn't it, when you think that the Socceroos are one of 32 nations to qualify for the World Cup at the expense of, as you've just mentioned, Holland and Italy as well as America.
Yeah. Look at the stats on this too. We played 22 in 884 days, and we travelled 250,000 kilometres around the world to places like the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Japan, Syria, and Honduras. It's frightening, isn't it? We can do that. We deserve to get into the group stage, don't we?
Absolutely, mate. And I just talking about your career, mate. Going back a few years now, of course, but what was your experience playing on the great man Diego Maradona? What was that as an experience for you personally?
Well, you know what? It flashed past. All I can remember when he got the ball the first time is, I can't see it. What has he done with it? He has got such a low centre of gravity that's why you can't knock him off the ball. He is so strong. He only uses his left foot. He doesn't move very far, but I tell you what, when he moves, boy, does he go. And I don't think he was having the best of nights. In fact, he might have complimented me, but the next game he got done, or 2 games later he got done on drugs. He said, actually, against Australia in Argentina, we were on speed copy. So, which is a bit disappointing, but, what do you do? But, wow, I just stood there in the tunnel before we went out and went, wow, that is the greatest player ever to play the game, and a kid from Dandenong City in 1973 is playing against him.
Well, when you say it in those terms, Paul, it's been an incredible career that you had, and we know how much you love the game, and you're still involved heavily with all your coaching, especially at junior level and through the school programs. How's that all going?
Really good. You know what? I basically use all my football experiences and my health experience, because I've had part of my brain removed as a result of epilepsy, and I use those 2 areas of my life. And I don't just coach kids, but I talk to them. And I talk to kids from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Sierra Leone, who come to this country. They don't know any English, but they do know football. And that's the beauty of the game. I can relate everything to football. I'll talk to them, I'll listen to them, and we'll go out and we'll play. And you can see the smile on their face. Do you know what I mean? Because they've come here, they don't know any English. They don't want to go into schools in the year that they're in because of their education level. Some of them are 2-3 years behind what we are in Australia. That's a frightening thought, isn't it? And football can bridge that gap. So I'm very lucky to be able to do that. I really am.
It's a wonderful equaliser, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is a wonderful equaliser. Tony Blackford's just alluded us to here, Paul. Now, I love your bias, mate, because I remember the previous World Cup when we were in Group D at the time, coming up against Brazil and Holland, and everyone labelled the D for the group of death. And your quote was, no wonder it's the group of death, because they've got to play us. I thought that was a fantastic comment that you made in the media, just to show...
That's a great point, yeah.
And they did extremely well with Timmy Carl when he kicked that miraculous goal against Holland to put our noses in front on not once but 2 separate occasions in that game.
Yeah, I think we all started to believe that what Ange Postecoglou was trying to do works. Despite the fact that everyone says this particular coach that we've got now, that Marwhite, is more of a, hey, boys, let's not concede goals, and if we can go and nick one at the other end, then that's the way we're going to do it. He's absolutely flogged them in the last couple of weeks physically, and then he's backed off and gone, you know what, you're physically fit, you're mentally ready, let's go. those 3 games against the Spanish and the Dutch, which was the final 4 years earlier, was just testament to the fact that, Ange had such a positive thought and philosophy about the way the game should be played. And he got hammered during the World Cup qualifiers for this particular World Cup, unfairly, because people in the media who obviously know absolutely nothing didn't believe him. And he shoved it right up him because he qualified, and he qualified well. He won the Asian Cup. I can't sing his praises higher.
Yeah, that's a very good way to summarise that. And it is odd, to say the least, that a guy who gets them across the line to qualify, which is the hardest task, is not there to, for the reward for the effort. But just before we let you go, mate, what's your tip on 4 weeks' time when the final and the semi-finals will be played? Who do you think we'll be looking out for?
Mate, how about this? I'll start quarterfinals. I've never ever got it wrong, even if it was Melbourne victory versus Newcastle in the grand final. I've still never got it wrong. Or I should say. All right, here's the quarterfinals: Uruguay versus Spain, France versus Argentina. Here's a big one: Brazil versus Germany, England versus Belgium. Then it'll go into a semi, which is Spain versus France, and Brazil versus Belgium, and the final will be between France and Brazil. How's that, boys? And Brazil will win it.
Well, we've got that for the record now, mate, so we've got your phone number as well. So we'll be certainly straight on the blower, mate, as armchair experts we all are here, mate, just to keep you honest, Paul. But look, we know your time's precious today. You've got a busy agenda. We know you've got media commitments as well, mate, but thank you very much for taking time out to join us this morning on the RPP Footy Show, and we wish you well in the future, mate.
Good on you, Neil. Well done, boys. Keep up the good work. See ya.
See you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. That was Paul Wade, the former Socceroo captain, and not bad for a guy who, as he said, grew up in Dufton and ended up on the great man Diego Maradona, and he's actually got his number 10 jumper that they swapped after that World Cup qualifier.
I had a feeling that was the case, and I didn't get a chance to ask him that, but I had a feeling that he had a signed jumper from him. And tell you what, those quarterfinals, if they come off, they're going to be some mouth-watering quarterfinals. Don't worry about that.
Going to be sensational. Speaking of our interesting scoops, Simon, last week I took the GLW, the good lady wife, out after the show down Mornington for a feed.
Simon was there?
No, Bailey Wright, the Socceroo, just had knee surgery, so he was home having dinner with his family. So
good Langwarren boy, yeah.
Down there on the main street in Mornington, mate. So went over and said g'day, and he just had knee surgery, and he's just having a brief holiday before he unfortunately got cut out of the Socceroo squad. But I couldn't believe it. So
he grew up opposite the Langwarren Soccer Club, and he's a success story, isn't he, Bailey? What a career he's had. Yeah.
And a lovely fellow too. I just went up there and said, yeah.
Yep.
NC from RPP, mate, as you do. You know, like his mum in the Baxter Babe circle. So my wife actually knew his mum.
Oh, right.
So she actually went up and did the introduction, but he just popped out from behind the seat.
Yep.
G'day, mate. How you going?
Yep.
So it was quite interesting. So it seemed we're talking soccer, but
disturbing them while they're having dinner, Neil. God,
no.
Let them have their meal.
We'd actually finished first, mate. So I had to do the right thing. I was sitting on my hands, just counting it down, mate, just to see what his move was. But look, as we said before we go to the break, the World Cup did start overnight. It's in Russia. We've got the next 4 weeks for all our soccer fans. There'll be no doubt it'll be 24/7. There'll be games of soccer on, or football. It's the second biggest event in the world to the Olympic Games, so it's a big deal. And let's hope our fingers can stay crossed for the Socceroos, who hopefully tonight when they take on France can at least make a good account of themselves. So on that note, we'll take a break and we'll be back with more on the RPP Footy Show right after this break.
Ever thought of yourself as a powerful member of your local community? As a customer of a Bendigo Community Bank branch, that's exactly who you are. For when you choose to bank with the Bendigo Bank, it triggers a cycle of great outcomes for your local community. Banking with a community bank means your community shares in the bank's income. Your community then decides which projects that income is spent on. So let's make great things happen. Drop into your nearest Bendigo Community Bank branch or visit bendigobank.com.au.
welcome back to the RPP Footy Show, once again brought to you by the Bendigo Bank. Our next guest is Greg Hood. He's the branch manager of the Balnarring Bendigo Bank, and he's been kind enough to join us this morning here on the couch on the RPP Footy Show. So welcome to the RPP Footy Show, Greg.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for the invitation.
Big day coming up. You've got the 10th anniversary.
It is. It's a huge day. We've been open now 10 years, and a celebration for all our community groups. Over the 10 years, it's over 100 community groups in Balnarring, Flinders and that area that have benefited from our contributions and sponsorships. We come up with a plan to make it a celebration for the whole community, not just for the branch and the directors themselves. And we sent invitations to all the community groups thinking, we'll get a handful will say, we'll come. The Balnarring Hall, we've gone from 1 room to 3 rooms now to try and fit everyone in, because every group has said they will come, and we're giving them an opportunity to show what they do. So every club can bring a table and that, set up what they do, and show the rest of the community what's available to them to use in that. We've even had customers coming in going, where's my invitation? I didn't get an invitation to the party on Saturday. And we're going, well, it's today. All right, we'll come along anyway. So it's open to all the community to turn up, and it'll be a really good day, just a celebration of the branch and also what we've done for all our community and the success the community's got out of what we've done for them.
That's a fantastic story. Just reading in the paper last week where you had a 2-page spread where you had, I think, $980,000 has been donated back through the local community in various community places like sport.
Yep,
with football and cricket.
So we do across the whole board. So if you're a community group and got some involvement in the district, in the community, you qualify, and you obviously bank with the branch. You qualify for a community grant or a sponsorship, and sometimes it's not even money. Sometimes groups just need, we've got a couple of large marquees that we lend out. So they might just have a function, they want marquees, they can borrow those. We've got overhead projectors, we've got screens that a lot of like the Probus groups and that use for when they do their talks. So they just come in and borrow that, saves them having to actually buy one. So it's not always just money that we give the groups, it's sometimes our time. We're made up of 12 board members, all volunteers of local people within the Balnarring area that oversee the business themselves. While I run the branch, I oversee the actual business of Bendigo, the Balnarring Community Bank branch. They all volunteer their time, but they're all still actively involved within the community themselves. So most of them have been at some stage on boards or on committees and that of all our local community groups, and they stay involved in that way. So they want to make the place get better and enhance what people have got. So if you have a look at one of our main criteria when we give money to groups, now, especially larger, now we've got up to where we're making reasonable profits and giving away some larger amounts of money. What the application covers off is how it best fits in with not only just that group, the whole community can benefit from it. So, for example, the Balnarring Reserve, where they put in the new club rooms for the junior footy club, the cricket club and the netball club, we put in $50,000 into the fit out of the club rooms. But apart from that, we didn't just say, okay, the junior footy club get a benefit from it, the senior cricket club get a benefit from it, the netball get a benefit from it. But there's a lot of other rooms in there where smaller community groups, because there's not a community house or anything in Balnarring, so they can also use those rooms as well. So it's a bigger thing for the whole community to use. Whereas the 3 main clubs get a benefit. It's a fantastic facility. Everyone else can go in and use those rooms and that as well if they need to do that. So, as I said, we're up to, our last count, we're up to $995,000 in community grants.
So you've got the big announcement later
today. Big announcement later today. That one lucky group will they'll get their grant, and will be the millionth dollar that we've done in the 10 years.
It's amazing, isn't it? $1 million in 10 years is unbelievable.
It's a great story.
And as I said, you've got a board of 12 people, a branch of 5 people. But the whole thing comes from the community. It's people banking with us. And that's where the money comes from. It's not someone sitting in head office in Bendigo going, let's give that group money, let's give that group money. It's our little branch of 5 staff, 12 board members and the whole of community banking with us, that our profit goes back into that community. So
it's a great story.
It's money we generate,
Has the Bendigo Bank branched into other states?
Yeah, it's Australia-wide.
Yeah.
So community bank-wise, when you talk community bank-wise, there's 313 branches, Kev, Australia-wide.
Yep.
And they're up to about $165 million in community grants Australia-wide.
That's fantastic.
Since it's been going. So it's growing all the time, but as we said, we get bigger and bigger requests. Now we're starting to do some bigger projects. And groups talking here. So not long after did we do the sporting pavilion at Balnarring, which was $50,000. All of a sudden we had Point Leo Surf Lifesaving Club knocking on our door. And they're doing a complete renovation of their club rooms now, because if you've seen them, they are terrible, the standard they're in. And clubs just can't raise that sort of money. So we've agreed to sponsor them for their first part of their project, which is $47,000 to do their toilet change room area. And again, they have all the local primary schools now, always contact them saying, can we hold a camp at your club rooms? But they up till now haven't got the facilities to be able to do that. So once we're sponsoring the fit out of all the kitchen area and the change room, so there'll be an industrial kitchen there where they can cook for a large group. Reasonable toilets, change rooms for the kids and the people there. So, and then from that, they've been able to go to the Shire and Surf Lifesaving and say, okay, Bendigo Bank have actually given us the first part of the funding we need. We've got that done. Can you give us some more? And it's like a seed funding process where we've been able to come in at the bottom, give them the funding to start with, and then from that builds up to get what rooms they need or what facilities they need.
It's a fantastic story.
Oh, yeah.
And how long have you been actually involved with the bank yourself and the manager?
Bendigo Bank, I've been in Bendigo Bank about 15 years all up, but at Bellingham I've been there the last 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
you were at the Hastings branch?
I was, so I met Kev through Hastings. We had a good association with the footy club at Hastings and that.
Unofficial man, mate.
And that's the thing too that people don't realise. While we go and with Kevin at Hastings, and when you said Hastings branch had association with Hastings Footy Club, and someone's been on here, Gary Sanford at Rye Dramana Group. While each branch sponsors individual clubs, we also, as a group on the peninsula, we all put in to sponsor bigger projects. So, as a group, we have a Mornington Peninsula, what they call a cluster, which is all the branches on the peninsula. We all put in, and then from that pot of money, sponsor things like RPP. We sponsor 3RPP, the radio station. The football leagues, the junior league, the senior league, we sponsor those. We sponsor the netball. We sponsor the cricket league. So it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
So while we're doubling up. So while we're sponsoring the league to get that up and help that keep running, we're also sponsoring individual clubs as well for what they need to keep going as well.
The names everywhere, and it's a good thing too. The names everywhere. Like if you go for a drive somewhere, you might see a name on a building, or you might see a name in the paper, or whatever the case may be. The names everywhere, and that's great.
And that's our biggest challenge is, while the name's out there and everyone sees Bendigo Bank does a great job for the community, it's actually being able to do things like this where we can get out and talk to the community, because people just don't understand how the model works. That it's as simple as everyone needs a bank. If you're involved in a club, why not bank with us? And then it's a win-win for everyone. Yeah. You get to do your banking. We offer every banking product and service the majors do. The only difference is what profit I make out of your accounts, Kev, goes back to, in your case, would go back to Hastings Footy Club.
Into the community.
Back into the community, rather than going off to a shareholder who lives up in Darwin or something like that. And then from that we all grow and we all get bigger, and it's a great project.
And as you just said, Greg, with the products and services, for anyone who's listening and watching, that a simple passbook account will get you started, and obviously, and everything in between, from a home loan,
from home loans,
small
to business accounts,
overdrafts,
business banking, we do a lot, and so it's, and two, it helps with interaction between groups. So we sort of say to the groups, we'll give you some money, but we want access to your members and that as well, because the more of them that realise it, how it works, it's simple. The more money we make, the more we've got back. Because our agreement is with Bendigo Bank that our branch, or every community bank branch, has to give back 80% of their community bank profits. We can't hang on to anything. We have to give it back to. And the more successful we are, can do these bigger projects like the footy club, the Surf Lifesaving Club. They've just now done in Balnarring. There's some public land there's been some local community people fighting with the Shire for years and years and years to keep as a community space. They've now got the go-ahead to make that a huge park area, and they're going to have an outdoor entertainment area and stuff like that. So we've just pledged $50,000 for that to start.
Bendigo Bank involved in the Alexandra Park project in Mornington?
Not too sure on that one.
That'd be that's a big one, Neil.
That'll be Gary,
That's a massive one.
Actually, yes, is that with the footy club and all that area in there? Yeah, I think there is. Someone mentioned that the other day to me, that they'd been approached with something to do with that. So I doubt we'll have something going on there.
Well, it's a fantastic story, mate.
Yeah.
And as you say, the single difference between obviously the Bendigo Bank and our average bank, or the big four banks, is that instead of the profit going back to the shareholders,
it goes back to the community.
It goes back to the community, and obviously, as you've mentioned, we've got the RPP studio. It's sponsored by
us,
the Bendigo Bank. The competition, Division 2, the Bendigo Bank competition.
Yep.
and from everything in between with cricket. You've got women's football, netball, and everything else. So you do a terrific job.
We do the basketball as well.
Basketball, you name it.
We're all
the
involved.
Bendigo Bank are all over it. And well, we wish you well this afternoon.
Thank you.
And hope it's your 10th anniversary. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long haul, but we've got there, and it's all worthwhile.
And what time's the big announcement for the $1 millionth dollar that's going to be handed over?
2:45. 2:45 will be there.
Around quarter time.
Around quarter time, yeah.
In the RPP game of the day, which is down here at Mornington. Mornington hosting Rosebud. So
I have to sneak down.
No doubt Gary Sanford, the area manager, he'll be over with you, probably in between each quarter.
He'll be probably doing something. Yeah, he'll be around the place. Yeah, we've got a few people from Bendigo coming down to be part of it as well. So.
And it's a family day, so they sausage sizzle, free sausage.
Sausage sizzle. We've got sausage sizzle. We've got Lions Club doing that for us. We've got a group doing Devonshire teas out the back for people who want to sit down and have a scone, jam and cream and a cup of coffee.
Gee, that sounds inviting, doesn't it?
Oh, you're salivating there,
Thank you, Michael.
It's been a bit of work. And it's really just for us to say a thank you to all the people that have supported us. And no doubt there'll be people there on the weekend that have put a lot of time and effort into the brand. We've actually got original board members coming back from Queensland. That they were on the original steering committee.
How good is that?
That's fantastic.
To get the thing up and running in the first place. So they're coming back from Queensland, and there's another couple coming back from New South Wales that just to see it through. They said we were there on the day, sitting in the breezeway there in the shopping centre with a card table going, please buy shares. Because you remember, the branch is owned by 812 shareholders, local community shareholders, and that's how we raise the funds to get it started. So
it's a fantastic success story, the Bendigo Bank, and
it's been great.
Obviously all of us on the Mornington Peninsula are the benefactors of it. So it's a fantastic concept, and as I just said, just repeating that, it's a great concept.
And
the community are obviously the winners of your generous support. So thanks for joining us today, Greg.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the invite.
And we'll be back with more on the RPP Footy Show after this break.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Here at Bendigo Community Bank branches,
we support local footy,
local teams, and all our community champions.
Bendigo Bank and RPP FM, bringing local footy to the community.
Watch our live telecast on RPP FM. It's live and it's local.
Welcome back to the RPP Footy Show, proudly brought to you by the Bendigo Bank. Well, our next guest is the senior coach of the Tide Football Club, and they had a great win last week against Devon Meadows, and we welcome Aaron Pacey to the couch. How are you, mate?
Good, very good. Very good,
mate. What a great day for the club last week, Aaron.
It was a very special day for us.
And what it does is it gives reward for effort, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I suppose I say winning's a habit, and unfortunately losing is as well. We've done a fair bit of work behind the scenes to try and break that habit and get into the other side of things. So absolutely reward for effort. The boys were brilliant.
First time in how long the three sides all won on the same day?
7 years. 7 years. They've
it's a long time.
Been a long stretch.
I actually thought
might have been a bit longer.
I actually thought it might have been their last premiership year, their last senior premiership year, but no, it's only 7 years. And
still 7 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
And you've got to understand that they didn't have under-19s last year. So the effort from Andrew Brady just to rally around and to be able to grab kids to get them to play football. And most of the kids that he would have grabbed are guys that probably have been lost to football. And then for yourself to get reward for effort, to be able to come out and have a wonderful last quarter like you did last week was just terrific for the club.
Yeah.
And to guys like Neil Hose and Stockton and all those sort of guys, it's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Stocko come in and gave his after match
Spill,
review and pumped all the boys up. So it was great.
And you've got to
great
understand,
atmosphere.
Wonderful.
But in terms of the actual on-field performance, Aaron, when you consider you kicked 17 goals last week and you've had probably close to 9 or 10 individual goal kickers. So you had Anderson kicking 7, but you also had the spreader goal kickers. Whereas the week before, I think Dimkos kicked 5 and one other player kicked 2, and that was it. So it must have been very pleasing to actually get the big spreader goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Anderson and Dimkos work very well together, and I suppose they sort of share that role deep and high, and just so happened that the other blokes read it a little bit better offhand, and we got involved as well. So that was it was pleasing.
Anderson would play a little bit higher than Dimkos, though, wouldn't he?
At times, yeah. You'd be surprised though, on the weekend they shared that role because Anderson was hot, so we left him deep, and it just so panned out that way.
Well, the bearded warrior's just played his 100th game, hasn't he, Matty Dimkos? So
yes.
He's been a good clubman, and obviously it must be pleasing to have guys like him around who actually are kicking goals on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. He's a mountain of a man.
And he really straightens you up. He gives you a wonderful target to kick to, and the opposition have to put a big and a good defender on him.
Yeah, exactly. He's a bit strange. Hard to try and get a good matchup on him because he is so big. He requires somebody huge, but he's quite nimble. And he's Pendlebury-like, I suppose, the way everything slows down around him when he gets the ball in hand. So it's good to watch. It's good when you're a little crumb and you're sitting next to him watching it in full flight. So.
And Aaron, you look at your early season form. First game was against Rye.
Yep.
You gave him a start, but you came home strongly.
Yep.
You led all day against Hastings.
Yep.
So, you know, those sort of things. And then you got a few injuries, which really put a bit of a dampener on the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And are you starting to slowly get a few people back?
Yeah, we're getting a few back. The Rye game was where all the injuries started. We had a horrible day. I think we had 3 ambulances called down to Rye that day, which is and 7 blokes between our team and Rye's. So it was just really bizarre. Hastings game, obviously that one was the one that definitely got away, and then the next 2 we sort of had Red Hill and Chelsea who got a hold of us. So the personnel, we were stretched at times, but so is everyone. It's definitely not an excuse. It's probably more of to do with us gelling and learning how to play alongside each other and that sort of thing. And then, the Somerville game, I sound silly, we got done by 80-odd points, but I don't think we actually played that bad overall. It's just that Somerville were really, really sharp. And
they have got some really good A-graders, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And then Everett, I think he bobbed up and kicked the lazy 7, so he was sort of doing what he wanted. But yeah, we didn't think we played that bad, and then we had Kringle the next week, and again, we thought we competed really well. And then finally got that reward again with Devon the following week, so...
What about the fact that you've had 2 wins so far? Both of them have been at home, but it'd be nice to pinch one on the road. For the whole club. I'm not sure how long since you won a game away from home. I think it'd probably be a while, but it'd be great if you can pinch one. And let's be honest, you're going with winning form today against Langwarrin. It's a 2-horse race. Anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly. We're just hoping that it buckets and it's muddy and wet and sloppy and brings everyone back to our level.
You're going to have that wind around today.
Yeah.
That wind, so you're going to have to obviously use the wind to your advantage and just
Last time they won away as well was last year. They got Devon at Devon last year.
Oh, you did too. There you go.
Yep.
So...
Fossey.
Oh, look,
Rain Man.
Lacking a little bit there.
Boss, mate.
What about Ethan Rowley? He's a man that obviously stuck around your club in the lowest of low times, but he's a class act on and off the field.
Yes, he's a fantastic skipper. He's very knowledgeable. He's very much a figurehead around the club and somebody who I've really relied on at times to help get point across and that sort of thing. He's a teacher by trade, so he's very good communication and that sort of thing. And his football was absolutely brilliant. I think he's
been a great...
He had 27 possessions or something in the first half last week. So he's just absolutely on fire at the moment.
He comes from a really good family background too, Blackers and Chops.
Part of the Voss family, is
No, God, no. No, I worked with his mum for a long time, and his mum's a lovely person. He does come from a very good family background, so it easily see why he'd be the way he is now.
He teaches at Elizabeth Murdoch College, and
that's right.
Yeah, he's a great player, and obviously clubs need people like himself. And he could have gone at certain stages, but he's stuck fat. You know?
Now, Aaron, obviously first season over at Tyabb. How have you settled in, mate? Because you was it 8 years at the Sky Bombers?
Yes, that's right. 8 years.
And premiership player and won a number of awards as well over that time. So how have you settled in down at the at Tyabb?
Probably have to ask them. I'm enjoying it. I really, really enjoy it. It was a good time for change of scene and meet a whole load of new people and experience a different style of football, and I've loved every minute of it. So,
and that's the thing, isn't it? When you change club and environment, you walk in and you know no one, but you meet so many new people along the way.
Yeah.
And you look at those people and you talk about the Niels Hoses and the Jeff Stocktons and all those sort of things. They're wonderful history of that club.
Well, they've been a pretty successful club over the journey when you go back, with premierships won.
And they haven't won too many premierships, I don't think.
I think they're on about 7.
Are they?
Yeah.
Their last premiership was in 2000.
Yeah.
So, but they've had a lean stretch, haven't they? So,
Well, recent years haven't been great.
Yeah, but it's great that they won a game last year. They've won a couple already this year.
Well, I think they were 2 and 5, 2 wins from the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So, and then this year we've had 2 in 9 games. So,
which
the improvement. It's absolutely brilliant.
If you can win 2 to 4 on the way home and end up with 4 to 6 games. In your first year, I think that's a wonderful feat.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's just try and get one more. That'll be all right.
The next month of football for them Blackers. Obviously, Langwarrin today.
Yep.
Dramana at home. Crib Point away. Hastings away and Chelsea at home. So it's a tough month, but that Crib Point game stands out as a game.
As a winnable game.
As a winnable game, absolutely.
Yeah. And with injuries we spoke about just at the start of the program, Aaron, you obviously might have missed that, but you had a serious hand injury at the start of the year too, didn't you?
Elbow. Yeah. Dislocated my elbow.
So you're just coming back now, and because you've had a number of other guys. Like, how far off is Mick Altenkirch? He was another good footballer.
He played in the twos last week and played really well. So he went down just after I'd done my elbow.
In round
5 minutes, in round 1. So
you did it in round 1?
Yeah. It wasn't the introduction I wanted to senior coaching, but I got 2 quarters out of it and then popped it out and watched the rest of the game from an ambulance. So,
and then he was in the same game with a broken leg?
Same one. Yeah, he had a couple of micro fractures in the top of his tibia. So we thought it might have been an ACL, which was pretty lucky to escape that, and it just happened to be a manage and time rest, give him the time to heal up. So that was good. Ravenhall, he broke his collarbone, which was that was a nasty one. That was in the last 2 minutes of the Crib Point win, so he was pretty gutted about that. We had a couple of soft tissues, like Dimkos done a hamstring. That was earlier in the season. Trying to think, Spencer McCartney done a quad. And he sort of yo-yoed, he come back, done it again. So he's probably going to miss a little bit more.
Harbison's a good player too.
He is, yeah. He's done really well. The last probably 3 weeks have been the best I've seen from him. So he's definitely improved.
And what about Langwarrin today? Where do you see where you have to stop them in terms of trying to get the 4 points today?
Probably in the middle. They've got a couple of pretty smooth movers in Parker and Herdman. So they're a couple that we're going to have to try and get on top of early. And obviously the big fella, Jesse Murphy, who's leading the goal kicking at the moment. He's going to be a focal point. I think they're quite tall, so between him, Albanese and Brown. So
Brown's a really good player.
Yeah.
Has been for a long time.
Probably not a bad day to play them until if it's wet today, which we expect it to come down later. It's going to be a wet day, which probably won't suit them too much. With the structure of 3 tall forwards.
One thing that Langwarrin have done, they've been very competitive in every game.
Yeah.
And probably their hardness and competitiveness has been great. Their outside finishing has let them down.
The consistency for them's been a thing because they lost to Pearstale, but they beat Chelsea.
Yes.
So they've been a bit of a yo-yo sort of a side as well.
But they're in a position too that they've got to keep on winning now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Regardless of the weather, I think we're going to have our work cut out for us. So it's going to be
22 blokes having a crack. That's all you want as a coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it your mid-year ball tonight? Is that tonight?
Yes.
Because I just noticed it.
Are you going, Neil, eh?
Well, it depends. Depend. Well, I've got a fellow plumber.
I've got a
he's married.
Fellow plumber here now, mate. Give us a plug with the business. Who do you work for?
Work for a mate of mine, Daniel Parkinson, heating and cooling. So
okay,
I'm on board there.
Fellow tradie fellas, so you got to look after one another.
That's what we do.
Absolutely.
How's Jack Damon going?
Pretty well. He's definitely improved the last few weeks. He's a big lad, and he has some serious potential. Just a matter of him maturing into his body and probably understanding his actual capabilities.
So you're Hastings boy?
No. But his missus works with my missus, and I said I'd give him mention his name on the radio. So.
Well, if you can't get it in the best, might as well get it on the radio.
And the netball, how are they going this year? Just because they've been very strong, like at Crib Point as well. Even though the footy hasn't been strong in recent seasons,
netball girls
have been very strong as well as the girls from Crib Point.
Yeah, they're going pretty well. I think the A grade are sort of always thereabouts. The premiers, reigning premiers from last year, I believe. B, C, and D are going all right as well. Obviously, they had one draw on the weekend and the 3 wins. I think that it was C grade that drew, and the others all won. So it was a pretty good weekend all round for Tyab last week.
And we do have our netball expert.
She's coming on next.
Yeah.
Next, beautiful.
Women's footy.
Yes.
How they go? Is it the second year for the Yabbies?
Yes. So another one, reigning champions.
They won it last year.
Yeah, they won it last year. So they've gone up a division this year. Maddie Dimkos is coaching them and doing a really good job there. We actually went and watched them on the weekend. They played St Kilda City on Sunday and put them away pretty convincingly. So I think they're just putting along nicely at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
That has just exploded in terms of participation, hasn't it?
Oh, of course it is, and it's wonderful. Yeah. It's wonderful for clubs to have, and I think what should eventually happen is that you have a second oval on a weekend. So there's 2 ovals, and the girls and the guys play there together. So it's all home and away.
No,
and every club should eventually have a women's football team, and they all play at the one facility on the one day. But then change rooms and grounds and all that all sort of comes into it.
Yeah, that's true too. No, but it's all on the improve when you say about everyone's joining together with forces with netball, women's
netball's
football.
Been unbelievable for this.
It's brought a whole different dynamic to the competition,
it certainly
hasn't it?
Has.
Particularly at club level. Okay, Aaron, well, thanks for joining us today, mate.
No problem.
And good luck for the big game today against Langwarrin and also for the rest of the season, mate. So thanks for joining us on the RPP Footy Show today.
No worries, thanks for having us. Cheers.
Good luck.
And on that note, we'll go to another break, and when we come back, we'll introduce Talia Hartskill as the netball correspondent here on the Footy Show.
Hi, I'm Mason Lockett, back with the Under-19's weekly report. Jumping straight into it, we only had one game played on the weekend, and that was Mount Eliza 97 to Frankston Bombers 62. Well, what do you know? Mount Eliza won again. Woohoo! Well, Frankston put up a good fight to score 62, but in the end it wasn't enough. Mount Eliza came out and dominated the day as they usually do and came out with a win. With this week coming up, we're back to the round 1 matches. But with the add-on, Mount Eliza, Frankston Bombers and Frankston YCW all having the week off with a bye. First up, we have Mornington versus Rosebud. Mornington should have this game pretty easy, but with Rosebud being the team they are, they have nothing to lose, so let's see if they can come out and show Mornington they're a team to be sort of scared of. And with looking back at the scores on round 1, Rosebud didn't even lose by that much, so let's see if they have what it takes. Next up, we have EDS versus Bomb Beach. Bomb Beach got smashed by EDS in the first round, and trust me, it really wasn't pretty. But that was first round, and things change. So let's see if EDS still have what it takes to go out there and put on the show they did in the first round. Pines versus Seaford is next up. Pines came out with the easy win in the first round, but let's see if Pines can be thrown off their momentum with Seaford's hard, rough style of footy they like to play. That's all that's going down in the Under-19s League this week. Be sure to get down at 10 a.m. Saturday morning to support your team's next generation. And also don't forget a raincoat this weekend because it is going to be chucking it down. Thanks. Now it's time to cross back to Neil and the boys.
RPP FM.
Welcome back to the RPP Footy Show, proudly brought to you by the Bendigo Bank. Well, it's very nice to have our next guest on the couch. She's the RPP netball correspondent, and she's been kind enough to rejoin us on the couch for the 2018 season. Talia Hartskill, welcome back to RPP. How are you?
Good, Neil. Thanks for having me back. Bossy, Kev, good to see you boys again.
It's nice to have you back on the couch, mate. You've had a bit of an absence for the last 12 months.
Yeah, it was
had a lot going on.
AWOL for a year. It always had, Blackers and Towie tried their best to get me back on board last year. I think they missed seeing a female around maybe on a Saturday morning instead of your mugs, but
Kevin Lilac missed it, I know that.
He did. Kev loves it, and big old Duncan Proud, they were two of the probably biggest fans of the netball show on a Saturday morning, so I'm back, boys. I'm back.
Cool. Good on you. Well, how are the Bombshells?
They're good. Always good. Probably usually more well performed off court than on sometimes, but no, they're good. The girls are going well, and actually just had our second win in the A grade last weekend, so
fantastic.
The tail's up, so it's good, going well.
That's a really good setup you guys have got down there with the footy and the netball. So, obviously, it's a requirement now. Clubs have got to do it, but you're really close, and you can get to see both up and close. Like whether it's football, look out, turn right. You got the netball there. It's great.
It's good to obviously bring the boys into the netball side of it. I don't know, obviously you guys have seen it. It's probably about 2 metres away from the actual football field at our netball court. We've still only got the one court, but it's good. So it looks like the boys are sometimes watching us. They're probably still just watching the football, but it's good to have the presence of them there, so we'll take
sometimes
it.
Sometimes the whistle gets confusing.
It does. It actually does, because I obviously still play myself, and it even gets more confusing if we get a stray football onto the court and one of the girls has taken a screamer on goal defence. So, but it's good. It's good fun.
Speaking of your team, you've just come off a draw.
Yeah. So I'm still a bit of a B grade hack myself, and so I was at last week. The week before we had a draw against Rosebud. So unfortunately, one of our girls didn't realise it was tied, and she had a shot after the siren, and she took it. She was a bit lackadaisical with it. And I was like, that's all right, we've already won, and then just hit the rim and came out. So nearly.
Oh well,
nearly.
Well. That was another draw, I think, in another division on the same day. I'm just trying to think, maybe somewhere.
You get a few draws.
There's been a couple of draws. Yeah, there has been a couple of draws. Yeah, it was the under-17s. Pearcedale Red Hill came a draw.
Yeah, as I said, I've off air before. I haven't been as across the netball this year, obviously not doing the radio. So when I got the call up to come join the couch, I thought I better have a bit of a look to see what's going on across the leagues, and it's pretty tight this year with the two leagues obviously changing.
Yeah, the dynamics have changed. So is that better? Is it like with the footy it's tightened up across the division?
It's we were sort of told, obviously, being Frankston Bombers, we've gone up to Peninsula, and we were told that the Nepean's probably going to be a little bit stronger in the netball than the Peninsula. So we thought, licking our lips a bit, going, we might get a couple of easy games this year. But no, we haven't. We've had, as I said, in the A grade, we only got our second win on the weekend. So it's I think it's pretty strong across the board on both leagues by the look of it.
But your numbers are really strong though.
Yeah, we especially down at Bombers, we always it gets to that time of the year where we go, we're even going to have 4 teams this year, and they just come out of the woodwork a bit. Somebody's friend or little sister goes, I'll have a crack and have a run around this year. So it's good. We're always pretty strong there.
Well, Seaford are on top in the 8th grade. Talia there with you got Edie Asp second and Sorrento, who have come from nowhere this year. I know Shelley O'Donnell and a couple of others have come down, and we spoke with her earlier in the season, and she's never been involved with the club as in with the men as well as the women.
She's enjoying it
and the
too.
Dynamic, she just goes, it's sensational. Like Thursday night meals, like with the Bombers, what's it like down there? It'd be pretty crowded in your rooms on a Thursday
we've
with
got
a meal and selection
We've obviously
night.
got the women's football too, so we've got to get in early. We sometimes go, hope it rains, or look at the coaches a bit and go, we can smell the food from the court. So we go, can we wind it up a bit quicker so we can get in and make sure we've got a table? So,
but they've been big improvers, haven't they?
Yeah,
Sorrento?
well, that's what I was having a look at earlier today. I looked at the top 4 and I went, Seaford have always been thereabouts, I think. We've never played them, so I've heard that they were strong, and I know they've had a few VNL players in the past, so VNL's obviously equivalent to the VFL boys. So sometimes if they're playing...
So that's Peninsula Waves?
Yeah, Peninsula Waves.
Wednesday nights?
Yeah. So they're strong in that way, and then Edie Asp have always been there. They've won the last 5 premierships in a row. So this might be the year that they might Seaford might just edge them away on that one, I think, this year. But then also Sorrento, as I said, like you guys, they've they didn't even, I think a couple of years ago, they didn't even have an A grade. So for them to be sitting top 3, they actually won their first ever, in how many seasons have we been running the netball football?
6, I think it is.
6, yeah. Won their first ever game last year. Might have been against us, but we don't need to go into that. But yeah, so to see another face, another team in there that hasn't been up there is, it's good.
It's good for the competition,
I think
isn't
so.
it?
Keeps it interesting that it's not the same old. And like going back to the Nepean League, obviously, we were just speaking before about some of the teams that are up there. We've got Langwarrin on top. That's been a while since they've been up there, so they're going very well.
It is indeed. That's a great way for them to have come back into Division 2. And
yeah,
as you say, when you look at Tyab, who've traditionally been a dominant team, and Crib Point are the current premiers.
Yeah,
they've had a very strong netball program there as well, and Karingal have had very strong netball for half a dozen seasons as well.
Yeah, that's what I said. Looking at the top 4, you've got Langwarrin sitting on top, then Tyab, Crib Point and Karingal. If I looked at it at the start of the season, I would have predicted Tyab, Crib Point and Karingal being in there, but Langy, I've just no idea. But obviously recruited very well, like some of these teams, and as well the other one, Kev was touching on earlier, I think it might have been off air, Hastings, your girls have... I'll tell you what, the best thing they ever did was getting Trish McLaughlin down there. She's a bit of I'd say, the netball powerhouse.
No, it's good then, because she's done well. They're a very young A-grade side. They're all young girls, and they're all enjoying it, which is good. Yeah. She's a sort of person you wouldn't say no to if she asked you to come play for you and you're in her team. You go, yes, Trish, I'll be there. So she's good. So, and like we said, she's got... great connections down at Waves, so she's got a couple of the, I think, young B&L girls down there playing, so she's done well.
Well, there's a number of girls, speaking of the Waves, who, because I know Adrian Harris has been in sensational form. She's been their most consistent player. She's the captain coach at Crib Point.
Yeah.
And a number of other girls, so it's great for the local competition, having such a strong local comp that's feeding obviously the Waves.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we sort of we had a phone call today earlier today, and down at the Frankston Stadium now, I think they've got the grant. I think it's about 7.1 million to do all this. They're having a whole big new building down there. They're going to have 6 indoor courts.
For the elite sports program. The pathway program.
And then they're going to have. I was just reading up about it earlier. A function room, 150 odd. Space for people, so
how's that going to go once the girls get a bit loose? After
that's
10:30 on a Saturday night, mate.
I think it'd be interesting. It might get a few YCW boys crawling over from the oval to come have a bit.
It's
of
only walking distance.
It is crawling distance.
Or should we say stumbling? Yeah, crawling's more. That's
what
more
functions they've got on. But I think it's going to be great for the peninsula. Obviously, football's come in and taken a lot of the netball girls. So I think that that this is happening down for obviously Waves. I hopefully will play there, I imagine, rather than maybe playing at Waverley. I don't know. I might be getting a bit ahead of myself, but I think it's going to be great to put netball back on the map in Frankston and
right across the peninsula.
I think so. It's going to be massive.
Yeah, it's a fantastic initiative by the state government, the federal government in conjunction with the local Frankston Council, but. Yeah, for the girls coming through in all sports at the present time, there's never been a greater opportunity with, as you said, we've got the soccer, the cricket, got the AFLW, and obviously look at the netball that's going on.
Massive.
What did you think of the Commonwealth Games second place? Was that a bit of a surprise?
It definitely was. And do you know what? As a netball player, how bad's this? I didn't even watch it. I knew it was going to be on, and then I think... I just sort of went, they'll win. I don't even need to watch it. Like that's very patriotic of me, is it? But so I was a bit shocked. I think especially when I saw even New Zealand having that loss as well. You just always think it's going to be New Zealand.
The dynamics are changing there, and they've said because of the dynamics of the national comp, bringing everyone in from the netball world, has risen the standard of netball back around the globe, which is like Lisa Alexander spoke on after the siren 2 weeks after the Commonwealth Games, and she said that she was wrapped on one hand that the evenness and the improvement in the competition, but then obviously equally shattered and disappointed.
Yeah, you still want to win.
To still not get that gold medal. But look, obviously we'll just have to see what unfolds, because I know they've got a big season ahead with the girls, the Diamonds. They've got the Constellation Cup, always against New Zealand. That's coming up.
Yeah.
Then
That's
they
always
got
good to
the
watch.
Quad Series as well that
Yeah.
involves South Africa and England. And the
Very-
English Roses, gold medalists, mate. That's an
Yeah.
unusual
I know. A couple of.
term. But the old enemy.
Well, hopefully it doesn't last for long, but we'll be back up there. But I mean, it's good. It is good to see. It's still obviously. It is still going very well, and it's still getting bigger and bigger. We did think we were going to lose it a little bit with the football, but I tell you what, I've seen a couple of bruises on my arms, but I've played a couple of games of footy this year and last year myself, and I get asked that many times, "What do you prefer? What do you prefer?" But you can't compare them. So I think anyone that gets stolen from one sport or the other, they're still always going to go back to each sport because they're just very different still.
And a good athlete seems to be able to adapt.
Yeah,
you know,
like myself.
a good athlete on the netball court can become a good athlete.
I think so.
Obviously, AFLW.
Oh,
You're the Hosking twins. You've
Yeah,
seen.
obviously,
They're
yeah.
a great example of that.
Jess and Sarah, they play their netball like they play their football. They're hard at it, go for every ball, and that's it. You're a midfielder, you're a mid-quarter, you're going to play the same, I think, in both sports.
You just love competing tales, don't you?
Yeah. Yes, Bossy, I think you know that. Very
Okay,
much
well,
so.
I think we're just going to wind the show up for this morning, Talia.
good.
We'll get you back on for next week. We might
Yep.
even get you on after the siren this afternoon.
Yeah,
if that suits
yeah.
you.
I will give you the hot tip. We do have a bye this today, Bombers, so we're having a bit of a bonding session. So I will try and make sure I
A bit
answer
loose.
those.
Will you be a bit loose by 4:45 or just first gear?
It's first gear. We'll say first gear.
All right,
to make
first
sure
gear.
I'm
What's the
right
go-to
to go.
song, Tales?
Beg your pardon?
What's the go-to song?
For me,
Yeah.
go-to song. Oh,
What's going to get you up and about? Like, what's going to get you singing loud today? What's the song?
you can't. Frank's and Bombers' go-to song is unfortunately it's horses. It's a bit boring, but that's the throw the arms around each other song.
Nothing wrong with that.
I know, but I might have to work on that. I'll bring you something next week, Bossy.
No worries. I look forward to that.
All right.
That sounds like the go. Well, look, okay, thank you, Talia, for your first up effort.
Yep.
We'll see you next week.
Look forward to it.
We'll go for a break now. We'll be back with more after this ad.
Here at Bendigo Community Bank branches,
We support local footy.
Local teams. And all our community champions.
Bendigo Bank and RPP FM, bringing local footy to the community.
Watch our live telecast on RPP FM. It's live and it's local.
Welcome back to the RPP Footy Show. Once again, proudly brought to you by the Bendigo Bank. Well, it's now time to go through results from last weekend's big game. So we'll start with Division 2, fellas, as we just went through the Tyab game. Tyab 17-17-119 defeated Devon Meadows 13-9-87. 32-point winners there, so that was a good result for Tyab, fellas.
Fantastic.
Yep. And good for the competition too.
Great for the competition. Pearcedale 13-9-87 defeated Crib Point 5-6-36, so 51-point winners there.
Yeah, probably the difference at the margin, Kev. I thought, when we spoke to Crib Point a couple of weeks ago, they want to be really competitive after they won their first game.
Yeah, well, I noticed that, as I mentioned on the show last week, the New Zealand boy that's
Did he play?
No, he played for Casey, so
Yeah.
obviously he was out. So and he played a pretty good game for Casey actually. So they would have missed him, whereas he's kicked most of their goals the previous two games. So
McKelty Lafu is his name.
That's how you say it.
So he's playing in Casey's senior side.
yeah.
Well, there's no reserves, so
No.
he's a fair player.
Yeah, he's a fair size of a bloke too.
He's a
big
mountain.
boy.
How did they get him down there?
I'm not quite sure how they ended up with him at Crib, but he rocked up round one and they'd signed him. So I'm not sure if he knew the coach or something, but someone must have had a contact somewhere. But yeah.
Okay, well, Kev, on to your team next, mate. Chelsea 15-17-107 defeated Rye 12-11-83, so 4-goal winners there. That was a good win.
That's not my team, mate.
Kev said Hastings, mate.
Yeah. That's
Sorry.
all right, though.
Has been for a
I have
long
been
time.
to Chelsea a few times. And I played there. I did play there up there a couple against
And
them a
your
few times.
game was 13-13-91 defeating Langwarrin 19-64.
And Kev, I reckon
27-point winners.
I reckon that's a great win for Hastings Footy Club because they've lost a few players with injury over the last few weeks, and I reckon you've had to dig deep.
Yeah, no, it was good. We had 3 under-19 boys in there. We also had 3 blokes make their debuts on Saturday as well, including Sean Hewitt, who's the younger brother of Luke and Jake. he played his first senior game, and so it was good. We had PJ McGee out of the under-18s. He made his debut, and a young bloke from the reserves who's just been playing good footy for the last couple of years in James Forecaster. He got a bit of an opportunity as well. But it was a sad day for the club.
A real sad day for the club, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, on Thursday we had Ronnie Moncrief pass away, who's a life member of both Crib Point and Hastings. And when we play each other, we play for Ronnie Moncrief Shield. Ronnie played a lot of footy at Crib Point and then a fair bit at Hastings. And, as I say, life member at both clubs. So very, very sad. And that was Thursday. And then unfortunately, on Friday, Ken Stratton, who became president of our club in last November, he passed away. He's been suffering from bone cancer for quite a period of time, and he had to step down as Hastings president probably a month ago. And unfortunately, the illness got hold of him and he passed away on Friday. So both their funerals were yesterday, and so it was a busy day. But it was very sad for their families.
Oh, terrible!
And
terrible.
All the boys are going to attempt to play today. Kane and Taylor. Taylor's got a bit of a crook shoulder, but he wants to play today with his brothers. And Alex hasn't played footy for a long time, but he played last week, and he's going to have a run around today too, hopefully. So, yeah, just a bit of a thing with the three brothers to show a bit of unity for the loss of their dad.
And their dad would want them there, together.
Exactly 100%. Right. He'd want them to carry on and soldier on, and it's just it's just sad. Very sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very sad. So condolences to the family from everyone, not just here at RPP, but also the entire footy community, mate. So, no, that was terrible news. To just round that off, the Sunday games from last week were Coringal 13-17-95 defeated Somerville 8-20-68. 27-point winners there, fellas.
Somerville certainly peppered the goals, didn't they?
They did.
They had 28 scoring shots, and they just weren't
putting them through.
That's right.
Yeah. The big sticks.
30 shots to 28. Like it was one goal, 4 in the last quarter after kicking 3, 6 in the third quarter. They're only 5 points down at 3-quarter time, but just ran out a little bit of steam, if you like, and Coringal just a little bit too good on the day.
Yeah, indeed. And it was funny how it was the same score, or tally of points. Anyway, Red Hill 14-11, 95 points, defeated Dramana 14-5, 89. So 1 goal. 6 points, so that was a big win for the Red Hill boys.
Yeah, and, like Red Hill, things haven't gone their way in close games this year, but it really turned around on the weekend, and they came home, they kicked 7 goals. They were 7 goals at 3-quarter time, they were 19 points down, and they kicked 7 in the last quarter.
Indeed.
Fantastic performance, because Dramana really got out of the blocks, and it was like, I think it was 7 goals to 1 at one stage.
They were 11-1.
It wouldn't be...
they were 30 points up at half-time, Kev,
That's right. It wouldn't be hard for Red Hill, especially maybe some of the young blokes to think, geez, this mob's too good. It's not hard to get that thing in your head, and to come back and get up and win, a great performance.
It's not going to do them any harm at all. Dramana losing today, obviously 2 games the next 2 weeks that they're favoured to win, but it's not going to do them any harm at all. And as Simon touched on a little bit earlier, just a nice sort of shot in the arm, just to sort of get them back into reality a little bit.
Indeed, and in Division 1, when he had the 2 games play, which was the RPP match of the day, Sorrento 12-14-86 defeated Frankston YCW 10-12-72, so 14-point winners there. Was that the 4th in a row, did we say?
Yeah, 4th in a row.
4th in a row loss for YC, which is unheard of.
It's been a long time since that's happened to YC, but...
full credit to Sorrento.
How many players, Blackers?
Well, my understanding was that they had 7 premiership players from last year playing. Sorrento had 14. And at the 2-minute... at about the 5-minute mark of the last quarter, there was 2 points in it. Was that about right?
That's pretty much right, yeah.
Then they went bang, 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 kicked 3 goals.
Yeah.
And then YCW kicked the last one to bring it back to 14 points. So
YCW had a chance probably late on. The boy that played interleague, I can't even think of his name.
Street?
Lockie Street. Lockie Street missed one late, which probably 3 or 4 minutes to go. But had he kicked it, it would have been like a goal or maybe 7 points or something, the difference at that stage. So they had a real opportunity there late. Look, they stuck on really well, YCW. And look, Sorrento are obviously a powerful side, but I still think, even though they've lost 4 in a row, YCW are still my side to beat. But after all, An opinion is all it is. It's my opinion, and I still think they're probably going to be the team to beat if they get everyone back on the field.
5:35, in fact. So Street sets sail now. It's high, it's up and under, but he likes it, and he's put it straight through the middle. So he does exactly that. He gives them some breathing space, and they go up by 7. Take the mark, but it spills back into his hand, and he takes a flying left shot and kicks the goal. YC get the first of this quarter. They'll go to 9-10. So James Helahan walks in at goal now. For a shot at his 3rd, he kicks from about 52, sets sail, and he puts the finger up straight away, and he's kicked it. Beautiful kick of footy is James Helahan, but Mitch Helahan,
he's just reversed it.
No, he hasn't reversed it. I think he pointed it away because Mitch Helahan got one in the eye. But Mitch Helahan gets a free kick. He moves it quickly towards Corp, who uses his body brilliantly against Occarello, and will run into an open goal and make them lead 14 points.
There's the difference. 55 out. So he's about 20 metres back. He starts walking in now. He runs to about 55 and sets sail. He does that now, and it's an absolute mung. It's going to land about 45 short, but Lockie Street comes out and nearly takes the mark. It's kicked off the ground by Lovett. It's well spoiled over the line by Williams, though. And that'll be YCW's 11th point of the day. It'll be 10-11-71 to 12-13-85. That's the final siren.
Yeah, well, what a brilliant game that we had, wasn't it? Just a brilliant contest from both sides. It's exactly what we wanted, not only for the Toe Punch Shield, but for the match of the day. I mean, RPP just bringing in the finest work from everyone, from myself, from Short Pass, from Michael Voss. Just a brilliant contest that we had. So really excited to come back next week and go again for RPP boys.
Looked like there was a massive crowd there.
Huge crowd.
It was a big day of footy. It was a fantastic. Well done, Vossi. Again, another great call with you and obviously Lockie and Adam, Short Pass, so and the rest of the team. So it was congratulations, mate. I don't
know how we can describe this next game though. The Mount Eliza Frankston game. Wow, we might have to talk to our netball correspondent about this when she comes in. But that is just the craziest scoreline I've ever seen. Considering the weather on Saturday,
Beautiful day.
Was beautiful.
Yeah, Mount Eliza 4-12-36 defeated the Frankston Bombers 3-15, so 33 points. So
the Bombers never kicked a goal in the first half. And Mount Eliza never kicked a goal in the second half.
As both clubs decided that there's no, whoever kicks the most goals gets, $20 a goal, that both clubs decided we're not paying that anymore, so the players have gone out on strike. We're not kicking any goals.
Old school. Okay.
That's it, Kev.
And on that note, we'll just run through the ladders quickly. Division 1, while we're on them, with Sereno on top, 32 points. Mount Eliza second on 28 points. And YCW, Edie Asper both on 24. Pines are on 20. The Bombers are just out on sixth spot on 20 points also.
So Pines today should beat Seaford.
Yeah, well, that's right. So when we go through the ladder, they've got Bomb Beach 16, Rosebud 10, Mornington 8 and Seaford 6. So we've got games today, Mornington, Rosebud, Seaford, Pines, which you're alluding to, which will take the Pines, if they do win,
so they'll go
onto 24. So they'll go a game clear. And then we've got Eddie Asp, who are hosting Bomb Beach. And
Edifar will win that. I reckon that just about kills off Bomb Beach, and I say that because they would be 2 games behind plus percentage, and a lot of percentage. Yeah. So I think that a loss today for Bomb Beach will kill them off.
Okay, and in Division 2, the ladder, Dramana 32, Karinga with a good win against them last week, also on 32 in second spot, Chelsea 28, Hastings 24, Red Hill 22, Somerville 16 in sixth spot, Roy also on 16, Langwarrin 14, Pearstow with the 3 wins on 12, followed by Devon Meadows and Tyre both on 8, and then we've got Crib Point with their 1 win. So no surprises there, fellas, but a couple of big games today which we'll go through, which the RPP match of the day is Mornington hosting Rosebud. We've got, who are your thoughts on that one, Vossi?
I think Mornington will win a close one.
Yeah, and I think Mornington are starting to get a few players back. Rosebud beat them earlier in the season.
Mornington were very inaccurate on that day, but they did beat them, and they kicked straighter and good kicking, good football and all that. But they did get the better of them. But I think
on that smaller ground, it's really going to suit probably Mornington.
Okay,
play that ground better than what Rosebud will.
Yeah, no, Mornington for me. Plus, it's a big game for the relegation battle, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Mornington win, they pushes them up above Rosebud and Seaford.
Okay, the next game, Seaford Pines, which we just alluded as a big game for the Pines because they can actually go a game clear from the Bombers who are currently sixth.
It's a big day for. It's at the Pines Footy Ground, I think.
Nah, Seaford are hosting.
Seaford,
Belvedere, yeah.
This is the only game that Seaford have won this year too.
Yeah, it is.
Look, Aaron Edwards back in fantastic form, and I think as will or kick maybe 6 or 7 today, and I think they'll win pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think Pines will win these.
That'll probably drop YC to 5th, so
it will.
If you're sort of claiming they're going to win the flag, it's a be a great effort to win from 5th.
Will be. EDS versus Bomb Beach, Kev?
Yeah, I'll eat a fail. They'll be, as you mentioned earlier, about the
bit of argy-bargy.
What happened
Kev?
the first time around. I'm sure they're not going to make that same mistake again, and probably really want to make Bomb Beach pay the price.
Okay, Tony?
Yep.
Obviously, Eddie Aspen,
Eddie
Vossi the same?
Eat a fail for mine.
Okay. Also, we'll go to Division 2 games, which Chelsea, Kringle. So what a fantastic tussle this will be.
Yeah, I think that'll be a great
Second versus
game.
third.
Yeah, and both sides have got,
excuse me,
got some really good players. Like Simon said, I think that Kringle don't have that outside leg speed. And I just think at home, Chelsea will always be harder to beat.
Okay.
Chelsea in a close one.
Okay. So same?
Yeah, look, I'll probably go with Chelsea too, just only because it's at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a word, Dramana versus Crib Point, Kev?
Dramana.
Dramana, Vossi?
Oh, easily.
Devon Meadows v. Rye? That's Devon Meadows?
Devon.
Well, Devon. But Devon, they've lost to Tybe, they've lost to Crib Point over the last few weeks. I know Theodoros kicked a few goals for them, and Fletcher's been playing well, but overall, their bottom 6 to 8 players obviously aren't playing that well.
They're Jekyll and Hyde. They're Jekyll and Hyde away from home to compare to their home form, and look, they'll put up a much better performance today, but I think Rye will get them.
Rye have to keep
in tune with or in touch with.
Well, if Devon don't perform today, to me that means that pretty much the players have just racked their queue.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be getting the red ball out and practising for cricket, you reckon?
Yeah.
All right. In a nutshell, in a word, fellas, Langwarren v. Tyab.
Langy, they're in the same boat as what Rye are.
Yeah.
Kangaroos. Okay. In a word, Pearsdale, Hastings.
Hastings.
Okay.
Comfortably.
And the final game of the round is Somerville versus Red Hill.
Yeah, well, Red Hill should win, but in these conditions today, smaller ground, Summy played that ground a lot better, but they've lost some important games at home this year, Summy. They lost to Devon Meadows early in the season, so they're not playing their ground as well as they used to. I still think that Red Hill are one of the sides
Hillman.
to beat.
I think the Hillman will be too good for Somerville, Kev.
Yeah, it's too important a game, Red Hill.
And it is the Socket 2 MND round, just following up from last weekend's long weekend round, which was a fantastic day, the Freeze MND campaign number 4, with the 18 coaches, the AFL coaches all going down the slide in Monday's big game, Melbourne Collingwood. And
how good was Chris Fagan though, getting up and he's done it?
As the Reverend,
he might have ripped his hammy off the bone.
He did,
Yeah,
and
he did.
They raised $4 million, which was fantastic. So, as we said, continuing the Socket 2 MND round today. Okay, well, on that note, fellas, thanks for joining us once again on the Footy Show this morning. And to all of our listeners, hopefully your team will win this afternoon. Please remember the match of the day is the RPP Mornington versus Rosebud game down here in Mornington. And until next week, from all of us here at RPP, take care.